symbol back in the day when you had like the KKK and stuff like that. They would hang people.
A self-described white supremacist may not be who he says he is.
He has a mixed brother and sister. He's not a racist.
And that could make him a marked man among other white supremacists.
If you get caught being counterfeit, you can have serious things happen. First, all the tattoos got to come off, one way or another.
Another inmate attempts to hide the true nature of his recent conviction.
When word of that gets out, someone's like a target on their back.
He's a child molester.
And the jail takes steps to protect him from, among others, one of his cellmates.
He is sheep, I'm a wolf.
Fairfax, Virginia, is a modern-day city steeped in reminders of the Civil War. The cannons outside the old courthouse still face north just as they did then. A nearby sign marks the site of the first Confederate casualty. And across the street at the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center, Christopher Russell says race is still a divisive issue and that his views are summed up by a symbol from another war.
I have a swastika, but the Nazi battle flag is tattooed inside of it. It basically puts where I stand on life. I can walk into a unit or a room and I can tell you how much racial tension is in the air just by the feel and how everybody looks and how they act.
Most of the 1,200 men and women incarcerated at Fairfax County are only charged with crimes and are awaiting trial or the resolution of their cases. But Russell pled guilty to possession of heroin with intent to distribute and is serving 3 years here. And he says he won't let jail alter one of his core values.
You know, I believe in the preservation of my race. There's a double standard, especially when it comes to whites. It's okay to have black power. It's okay to have brown pride. But if you have white pride, you're a racist. How does that work? How is it not the same for anybody else? You know what I'm saying? Now I heard there's like Brown Pride Month, Black History Month. Where the hell is White History Month?
Despite his feelings, Russell says he's learned how to get along with other races in jail.
It's all about respect. As long as you respect me, we ain't got no problems, race or not. I hate you as a race. As a man, I respect you because you show me respect. Now, who am I more apt to get along with and to associate with? Yeah, of course, whites.
Yeah, but it's a wonderful life we get to live. I'm sorry I was jail. I guess it could be worse. I could still be strung out and sitting here. Be dope sick.
Russell says heroin addiction has fueled his criminal life and harmed his standing with other skinheads.
A true skinhead doesn't even get high, because you have to prepare yourself at any given time to be ready to go to war for your race.
But staff say no gang or race-related wars will break out in this jail anytime soon.
Our disciplinary measures are pretty harsh. The inmates that come here seem to hate Fairfax. They don't like it here because of all of our rules. From all reports that I've heard, we have more rules and regulations than all the other local jails, stricter housing standards and things like that.
Quiet, go! You have 20 minutes to lockout.
Turn around, put your hands on the wall.
We do have some people in here that may say they're a skinhead, Crip, Blood, Aryan Nation, but we typically try not to keep people segregated based off of race because you're expected to sort of get along with everybody.
Matthew Bryan appears to be living up to expectations. He is housed in the old section of the jail, where small pods of 5 inmates are locked out of their cells all day and must coexist in a small common area with little to do. Bryan is a minority here, but he says he doesn't hide his racial philosophy.
What is that?
That's a hangman.
What does it signify?
What was a symbol back in the day when you had like the KKK and stuff like that? They would hang people, right? If there's a new person that comes on the block, you can ask them. I make no bones about it. They know what I'm about. They know.
Bryan is awaiting sentencing on recent convictions for drug possession, credit card fraud, auto theft, and grand larceny. He identifies himself as a skinhead, but has formed a friendship with Denzel Wade, who's awaiting sentencing for credit card fraud.
I don't necessarily have a problem with it unless he flat out disrespects me about it, you know, calls me the N-word, whatever, you know. Then it would be a problem. But it's just like that respect thing. I felt pretty much comfortable with him because you know, he's a pretty straight up guy. That's the type of people I like to be around. You know, he's not gonna bull. He's not gonna lie to you. So I mean, me and him have been pretty cool since day one.
So you don't care about that tattoo on the inside of his left arm?
I mean, I make jokes about it myself. I'm not gonna lie. But no, I mean, it really doesn't bother me. I mean, like he said, you know,
it is what it is.
Like I said, he's a pretty straight up guy. He said he doesn't believe in interracial relationships. He pretty much is open about it.
I've never gotten close to a black dude, but for him, he's not like the normal black guy that you'll meet. He's really smart. So I mean, it's a learning process for me too.
I don't have a problem with it. You know, what you do is what you do. I mean, you know.
But I'm working on it.
He is working on it.
The only reason why I'm trying to change my views on things, like for my kids' sake, because I don't want them, you know, hey, I can spell H-A-T-E, or them to go to school and be like, oh, you know, my daddy has hate tattoo, and teachers will know. You know what I mean? I don't want that.
Brian says he tries to check in with his wife and 2 young sons every day.
So how are the boys doing? Are they with you?
But 5 years of arrest for a variety of drug-related offenses have made him an absentee father. He was in jail when his youngest son was born.
It's been about a month since when she gave birth. It was probably one of the most emotional things I had to go through. It sucked so bad.
And Brian's 2-year-old is now old enough to at least notice his absence.
Tell him I'm on vacation. Just tell him I'm on a plane to California or something. Right, and so every time you see an airplane, just say that. You know what I mean? That might make him happy or something. Okay, give the boys a kiss for me, please. She said this morning there's a program he watches. It's a cartoon about a dad who he flies on the airplanes. My wife was watching it with him or something, and then he said plane, and then he said daddy. You know, and then my wife was like, oh, you know, daddy's on a plane. And I was like, yeah, he's on vacation. So it was cool.
And is that what you wanted to think?
Yeah, for right now.
Makes you emotional?
Yeah. It sucks.
What is it that makes you emotional about it?
Because I want to be there, you know. I want to coach his football team and stuff, you know. I want to be there. We play sports and stuff like that. But it sucks.
Coming up.
During shakedown yesterday, we noticed the swastika sign on inmate Matt Bryan's hand. It was freshly done. It was still red.
Matthew Bryan finds himself with new troubles. And
I had all kinds of guns. Assault rifles, shotguns, I had them all.
An inmate with a hardened reputation on the street is housed with an old friend, concealing his secret.
It's a personal issue that I got to take care of and deal with, you know what I'm saying?
Washington, D.C. is a symbol of many things. But a crack cocaine epidemic in the 1980s turned the nation's capital into its murder capital. Violent crime is down since then. But a D.C. native, who's now at the nearby Fairfax County Adult Detention Center in Virginia, says it's still a tough place.
Where I'm from, everybody uses guns. You don't fight. Fighting ain't gonna do nothing. I had all kinds of guns. Assault rifles, shotguns, I had them all. I'm not aiming to kill. I'm trying to hit you. My thought process is I want you to later on be like, I should have never fucked with him.
Andrew Conte, who at 6'6" can nearly touch both walls of his small 2-man cell, says growing up, he hoped sports would help him escape D.C.'s violent streets.
I started playing basketball when I was 11 years old. I really felt I was going to get famous off basketball. I felt that was the way out. I know everybody say that, but I really felt that was the way out. The lack of the father figure in my life made me look the people on the street as my father figure. You know, you see the cars and the money, and it's true, it really gets to you. You want to have that. You know, you want to be like that. You want to get all the girls. And I started living that life. Every Friday we'll beat people up for money. Thursdays and Fridays was paydays. So, you know, we'll just wait for somebody, and whoever came, we beat them up, take their money, to the point where it started getting fun. Then it started becoming addicting. I wanted money, I was addicted to money.
Conte is currently charged with 2 counts of robbery and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. He has pled not guilty and is awaiting trial. His alleged victims were 2 tourists from Venezuela.
They're saying that I met these people, met them on a bus. We got down here, they needed help to get somewhere. I showed them, and I robbed them.
And what were they robbed of?
They're saying $540.
If found guilty, Conte's sentence could be as high as 20 years to life. But he thinks there's at least one good possibility in his favor.
Well, if the victims don't show up from Venezuela, then they're gonna get dismissed.
No matter the outcome in court, Conte won't be walking out a free man. He's already serving 3.5 years in another county for a different crime, residential robbery, and was transferred to Fairfax to stand trial on these new charges. And Conte says even though his stay here might be temporary, he's made his presence known.
I don't run this block, but I got say-so on this block.
At 20 years old?
20 years old. It's just the way I carry myself. I don't act like a 20-year-old. I just don't.
His cellmate, Jonathan Lacey, knew him on the streets and says Conte garners respect.
He did a lot of stuff on the outside to prove that he goes hard, meaning that he's not nothing but talk. He's a real businessman out on the streets. I can't say that. He's a real young entrepreneur.
In the business, so we're talking drugs.
I seen you though. You was like, you was trying not to laugh. You stupid. We bless each other while we in here, and that's what you gotta do to yourself, mate. You gotta
treat him like a brother.
You gotta treat him like your brother. You have to. No question about that.
Since Lacey and Conte had not seen each other in 5 years prior to becoming cellmates, they had much to catch up on, including the circumstances Lacey says brought him back to jail.
Came back, got called my warrant. I'm here doing my back of time for 5 years.
What was the warrant for?
The warrant for it had to do with child support, and it had to do with my 4th DWI.
Lacey was in fact on probation for driving under the influence. But that's not why he's in jail now. He recently pled guilty to aggravated sexual battery of a victim under the age of 13. Lacey says he pled guilty to avoid a longer sentence if found guilty in trial. But he denies committing the crime and keeps the nature of it a secret from Conte and others.
Do you admit this to people?
Hell no. That would make it seem like that's telling myself and telling other people I did this. No. You know what I'm saying? I got robbed in the court system. It's a personal issue that I got to take care of and deal with, you know what I'm saying?
When an inmate comes to the facility, there's a lot of talk about what you're here for, what you're not here for amongst inmates. There is a code, it's been in place forever as far as I know, that you don't mess with kids and you don't rape women. And when word of that gets out with an inmate, it's almost like a target on their back. It's not acceptable within the inmate code.
But Lacey says his tough reputation on the streets and his physical strength will keep anyone who might want to harass him in check.
Everybody show me respect because they know me, they know my reputation, my real reputation. There ain't no room going around saying, oh yeah, he's a child. No, people know I get bitches. And I'm not using it in a word in disrespect of women. I'm using it in respect of what I do outside.
Working out has not been on Christopher Russell's schedule as of late. He just spent 9 days in medical, being treated for a skin infection. Due to the daily fluctuation in the jail's inmate population, when he got out, he was assigned a new cellmate. The pairing did not last long.
Christopher Russell came out one night. He had his laundry bag full of all of his property, and he approached the control booth for the deputy and said that basically he was in fear for his safety, or he thought there would be a fight in the block.
After reviewing his file, I looked at where he's been housed. He's been housed up in our 4th floor for over a year and a half with no problems with any other inmates. So I wanted to go downstairs and talk to him to see what has changed, and then really is he in fact in fear of his safety. Hey, Russell.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Catchwell, you said you're in fear of your safety?
Nah, man, it was all a misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was never no fear. It's documented. I'm a skinhead, and so when I came out of medical, they put me up on a block. They put me in a cell with a guy that was black, which I can't. Right. And I said something about it. Right. Next thing I know, I figured they say I'm going to be reclassed. Right. And then they say about the fear thing and all that. Just, it was misunderstood as to why I was down here. It did, you know, as long as I'm celled the right way, then...
We don't accommodate the inmates. However, you know, if we can try and put him in a place where, you know, he can get along with other inmates, do his time, not get in any trouble, which makes it better for everyone involved, and then that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look over upstairs, see if we can find appropriate housing for you.
Thank you, man.
And then go from there.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Russell.
I appreciate it, bro.
All right.
While the jail will attempt to find Russell a new cellmate, they also sanctioned him by taking away 4 days of recreation time for refusing his prior cell assignment. Russell says it's worth it.
No, you don't put yourself in a position to where it's going to jeopardize your time. It had nothing to do with fear. I mean, for real, it had to do with common sense. If you hate somebody, you just don't deal with them. You just stay away. In your cell, you can't get away. That's the one place you can't get away from the person, you know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to at least have a common ground with your cellie. And the only common ground with mine is you got to be compatible with what I am.
Coming up.
And you got to use the $5 bills because when you hold it up to the light, it's got the strip in it. It says USA 5 on it.
Christopher Russell shares secrets of his life as a counterfeiter. And
I say he gave me good 4 licks. I gave him good both 5, 6 licks.
Jonathan Lacey and Andrew Conte exchange punches, but can't agree on the results.
I beat him like he stole something. His body had bruises and everything.
Behind the walls of the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center, self-proclaimed skinhead Matthew Bryant has put racism aside when it comes to Denzel Wade.
We're just choosing fantasy football teams, 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 2 tight ends, 5 receivers, and a defense and a kicker. It's just like, you know, NFL fantasy football, but except it's going to be harder for us to keep the stats and stuff, you know. It's just something to make, I guess, time go by faster, and we can all have something to look forward to, but also just have a relationship with, you know what I mean? You know, men coming together about football, you know, so it's cool.
Though fantasy football in jail comes with inherent limitations, Wade will have to get used to it for a while. He has recently been sentenced on his charge of credit card fraud.
My guidelines was, my minimum was 7 months, and my high was 1 year and 7 months. The judge thought I had too many breaks from my juvenile record and my adult record. I have 2 misdemeanors on my adult record and 2 misdemeanors on my juvenile record. So she said I got too many breaks, and she hit me in the head and gave me 2 years to teach me a lesson. The first person that, you know, talked to me about it when I first came was, you know, Matt. It's a very special relationship. I don't know how to explain it otherwise than that.
Another friendship inside the jail seems to have taken a turn for the worse. Cellmates Andrew Conte and Jonathan Lacey were old friends from the street. But now, Lacey has been moved out of the unit. He says he and Conte got into a fight over a card game.
We fought for like 10 minutes. It was a lot of wrestling, you know. For him to be his size, I don't think it should have been a lot of wrestling. When it got to throwing the hands, I say he gave me good 4 licks. I gave him good both 5, 6 licks.
Conte agrees the fight was over a card game, but his account of the results are different than Lacey's.
We got into an argument over spades. He told me to shut the up. My mother don't even tell me that. So I did what I had to do. I did what I know best.
What is that?
Put my paws on him. I didn't even let him get a chance to put his hands up and nothing. I just punched him.
Stephen Cobb says he witnessed the fight and agrees with Conte's version.
Conte had no marks on him. I didn't even see Conte get hit one time.
I beat him like he stole something and just kept going. His face was up. His body had bruises and everything. He had bruises on his legs, man. That was good. I was all right. He a sheep, I'm a wolf.
Since the fight occurred inside their cell, it was not witnessed by staff, so no disciplinary measures were taken. Lacey was transferred to another general population unit for a different reason.
Several inmates said that inmate Lacey was basically bullying people and running the block, threatening people if they didn't do things the way he did them. He invited several inmates into a cell to fight after arguments.
Though Lacey has kept it a secret from other inmates, he is convicted of aggravated sexual battery against a victim under the age of 13.
I think inmate Lacey is a bully. A couple of the inmates did say yesterday that he would make statements about he can't stand people to commit crimes against children, things of that nature. I think he was doing that to build up a rep and then possibly avoid anyone thinking that that's why he was in jail.
All people gotta do, inmates gotta do is write a request form saying one little thing, you know what I'm saying, and then these deputies will go with it. I'm not threatening nobody. I'm not no bully. I'm just trying to do my time like everybody else is and get the out of Fairfax.
Coming up.
He's a child molester.
I heard he was a little kids, man.
Jonathan Lacey's charges spread like wildfire. And after Christopher Russell breaks a rule, he finds himself dining on a special meal made for disciplinary segregation inmates.
It's just like, kind of like chunky water. That's maybe about the best way to describe it.
The Fairfax County Adult Detention Center is managed by a team of sheriff's deputies. Stacy Kincaid was part of that team for 26 years. Now, as the first woman ever elected sheriff of Fairfax County, running the jail is her primary responsibility. As for the inmates, she says her approach is firm but fair.
This is jail. That's just how it is. Our major concern is safety and security. We have rules and regulations. The inmates know those.
Sit down, face the wall. Keep your mouth shut. Out to the right.
This is our house. While you are a guest, you still get to obey the rules.
When inmates violate those rules, the penalties are stiff. They can be assigned to disciplinary segregation, where they are confined to a single-person cell and allowed out only 3 times a week for a shower. They're not allowed any possessions except for a religious book. Their mattresses are removed during the day, forcing them to lie on a concrete slab.
There has to be a consequence for your action. You just can't let people do whatever they want because they won't change your behavior.
And even though inmates often complain about jail food,
it looks like I don't know what's in it. And if I would eat it on the street, then I don't eat it in here.
it's even worse in disciplinary segregation. Except on Sundays, every meal consists of nutritional loaf, a dry mixture of beans, bread, and vegetables.
To be honest, it really doesn't have a lot of a taste at all. It's just like, kind of like chunky water. That's maybe about the best way to describe it.
Christopher Russell has spent the last 8 days in disciplinary segregation and has another 2 weeks to go.
I guess as a deterrent to try to keep you from not wanting to come back. Or
is that going to work for you as a deterrent?
That's not, no.
He was caught hoarding medication and conspiring to try to sell that medication that wasn't just his, also someone else's that he should not have been in possession of.
How did they find these?
Somebody told, same way anything else gets found. Now, this is my life. This is what it's all come down to. Take a lot more than this to break somebody. They want to break me anyway.
Drugs not only landed Russell in segregation, they also brought him to jail. He was convicted of heroin possession with intent to distribute. His original sentence was 10 years with 7 suspended, meaning he must serve 3, and as long as he stays out of trouble, he won't have to serve the rest. But that could prove challenging.
The last 12 years I've been on heroin real hard, and there's times where I have $1,000 a day heroin habit, you know, and with not having no job, it's not always the easiest thing to accomplish.
How do you pull that off?
Selling, robbing, stealing, doing what you got to do, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways to get money.
And for Russell, that meant making it. The first step to his counterfeiting scheme was to bleach the ink off $5 bills and then print new denominations on them.
You know, you go to the store and they take that little pen out and they'll lay your money out and hit it. Well, you can hit my money with that pen and it's good to go because it's real money. The pen, all the pen's telling you is whether or not that bill is made out of the same paper that money's made out of, and it is. And you got to use the $5 bills because when you hold it up to the light, it's got the strip in it. It says USA 5 on it. $1 bills don't have that strip. So if anybody actually pays enough attention when they hold it up, the bar's still there. Nobody reads the bar to see what it really says, you know. So and just print it all on there.
The scheme worked for a while, but eventually landed Russell an 18-month sentence in federal prison.
I don't know how to go out there and deal with life the way life really is. This is what's comfortable to me, unfortunately, but this isn't what I want.
Now word is getting around the jail of another sort of counterfeit. Jonathan Lacey was recently moved out of his housing unit for bullying other inmates. He was also making demeaning comments about sex offenders. That's not unusual in jail. But Lacey has kept a secret of his own conviction of aggravated sexual battery of a minor. Now, the secret's out.
He thinks he's hard, and, you know, he got exposed. He's a child molester. The whole time he's been in here picking on people about messing with kids, and the whole time he's the child molester, you know.
Brian Cornejo is in Lacey's former housing unit. He and Lacey have mutual friends and acquaintances on the street. And Cornejo recently spoke to some.
People spread rumors, people talk, so I don't really fit into that. But once, you know, I started hearing it from his friends, that's when I was like, oh, it's gotta be true. People ain't just gonna make that up.
You know, liars keep lying. I heard he was with little kids, man. I'm sweating just thinking about that. That pisses me off, man.
Andrew Conte celled with Lacey, and the two had gotten into a fight shortly before Lacey's transfer.
I'm in a cell with this mother. I'm walking around in my boxes and you know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's no, hell no.
Jail staff discovered that Lacey's true charges were known to other inmates at the same time we did. And that raised serious concerns about Lacey's safety.
It's quite possible inmates could take upon themselves to serve some sort of justice, assault Lacey, take out their aggressions on him because they don't like that type of crime. So I felt it's my responsibility to let classification now for inmate Lacey's safety. I was upstairs. We were in 3 North 3. Apparently Summers and Cornejo told the crew that inmate Jonathan Lacey is here for child molestation. And that not only do the inmates in 3 North 2 know, but the inmates in 3 North 4 know.
What's his name again?
Inmate Lacey.
So I guess we might have to do something else with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder where they got the information from.
There's several people inside and outside, I guess, that know about it.
All right. We'll find some place for us.
Thanks, John.
Sure, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the info.
Yes, you're welcome.
Right. Since in light of everybody knowing about his charges, now his safety is in jeopardy. And he might not realize that fully.
So Lacey will now be moved to administrative segregation for his own protection. The restrictions are not as severe as disciplinary segregation, but he will still be housed in a small one-man cell, all but 3 hours per week.
When he gets out, there's a lot of people angry, you know, and want to...
From my hood already saying, when John get out, we're going to him up just because. Got kids, you know what I'm saying? They can't be cool with it like that.
Coming up.
He was charged with making a false statement, tattooing himself, and possession of contraband.
A new tattoo gets Matthew Bryan in trouble with the jail, his mother.
He's trying to prove himself to the other people in here. That's just stupid.
And even with Christopher Russell.
There's another dude in here that claims to be a skinhead, which is totally counterfeit.
Inside the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center, disciplinary segregation is considered one of the hardest places to do time in the state of Virginia. Matthew Bryan could become the next inmate to find out why.
During shakedown yesterday, we noticed the swastika sign on inmate Matt Bryan's hand. It was freshly done. It was still red. It was probably 12 to 24 hours old.
Deputies also discovered tattoo-related contraband, a paperclip with a sharpened end, and lead pencil shavings in the day room outside Bryan's cell.
You take the lead and you crush it up, and you add a little bit of water to it, and then a little bit of lotion to make it thick. You mix it up, and it turns into like a thick paste, and then you just dip it. You just poke yourself.
Bryan initially denied any knowledge of the contraband. A short while later, he fessed up. But by then, it was too late.
He was charged with making a false statement, tattooing himself, and possession of contraband. When you're charged with these types of charges, you're typically moved from your housing unit, so he was moved down to segregation pending his formal hearing.
In the hearing, Bryan can mount a defense. Then it will be up to Lieutenant Suarez to determine how much time, if any, he will receive in disciplinary segregation.
I'm hoping to only get 5 days, if anything. And plus, one of the charges that they charged me with, contraband, they can't stick that on me because they didn't find anything on me. They found it on the block. You know what I mean? So they can't tell who it was.
He says his friend Denzel Wade was also going to get a swastika tattoo.
That me and him were both going to get one.
Wade was going to get a swastika?
Yeah.
No. He asked me did I want one while he was doing it. I was like, no. I was like, I don't even know why you're doing it. I thought it was just a stupid decision on his part.
You've been charged with making a false statement. How do you plead?
Guilty.
You've been charged with tattooing yourself. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
And you've been charged with possession of contraband. How do you plead to that charge?
Not guilty.
What do you want to tell me about what happened or the possession of contraband charge?
The contraband wasn't mine. It was ours. So when it was
ours?
It was mine and another dude on the box.
Okay.
So when it was found, it wasn't found in my possession, and it was not found in my cell. It was found in the day room.
You said the contraband wasn't yours, it was ours. So you're acknowledging that you had some ownership of this item, yes?
I was aware of it, yes. So yeah, I was.
Okay. And I think from the pictures, is that a swastika?
It was, but see, but the thing is, it's not like the dude on the block was gonna get one too. That was the bet. So it has.
Anything else?
I don't want to do it NGS time. I haven't been in trouble.
I did review your file. This is the first time that you've gotten into any trouble since you've been here. So you were charged with making a false statement. You pled guilty. I did find you guilty. The report indicates that you weren't initially forthcoming, but then you did acknowledge, of course, when you were sort of presented with the evidence. I gave you 10 days DS for that charge. I suspended all 10 days. You're charged with tattooing yourself. You pled guilty. I found you guilty. I've given you 5 days DS for that charge. You were charged with possession of contraband. You pled not guilty. I did find you guilty for that charge, and by your own acknowledgement. I gave you 7 days DS for that charge. I suspended 4 days DS, so you'll do 3 on that. You'll do a total of 8 days DS. I did take into consideration that you hadn't been into any trouble, but again, you've been here long enough to have read the inmate handbook. You're aware of all the rules and regulations. These are things that you just can't do. And when you're confronted with, during the course of investigation and asked, did you do this or is this item yours, you're expected to be forthcoming and to acknowledge that. So again, and you said, you were trying not to get into trouble, which is why you initially lied or was not honest. If he had been forthcoming and hadn't lied initially, the tattooing oneself and the possession of contraband were both considered minor charges. He could have just lost gym or commissary or visiting and wouldn't have faced any DS time at all. It was the lying that got him. Review page 35 of the inmate handbook to tell you what you can and cannot have while you're on DS. If an inmate is not being forthcoming during that investigation, sort of makes our job a little bit harder. We're looking for everyone to be truthful and to obey all the rules and regulations of the jail. So when they don't do that or when they break the rules, there's a penalty for it.
Being stuck in here all day, that sucks. It was definitely not worth it. Definitely not worth coming to the hole.
Along with the many other hardships of disciplinary segregation, Bryan will also lose visitation and phone privileges, meaning he will not be able to speak to his wife and children. And he might miss a scheduled visit later in the day with one of his main sources of support.
What are you going to tell your mom?
I don't know. She's going to be mad.
Coming up.
I just found out that he got in trouble, so we're waiting to see if he gets thrown in the hole, which means I won't be able to talk to him and all that stuff. I'm angry.
Matthew Bryan's mother arrives for a visit that may not happen. And
they gonna rape him. He gonna be somebody's bitch.
Andrew Conte offers a prediction about his former cellmate, Jonathan Lacey, and receives big news about his own case. At 20 years old, Fairfax County Adult Detention Center inmate Andrew Conte has been in and out of correctional facilities since age 13. But he says he knows he can be more than a criminal.
My mom used to call me Jekyll and Hyde. She said I had that personality, like I could be at home and I could watch a newborn baby for a whole month straight with nobody there. Clean them, make a bottle. It's crazy. But like as soon as I touch the streets, I'm a whole different person. I'm scared. Honestly, I am. Like, if I do this time.
Conte already has a 3.5-year sentence for robbery of a residence. He will serve time in state prison, but is in Fairfax County to stand trial for allegedly robbing a pair of Venezuelan tourists. But today, he caught a break.
My lawyer just came to see me, told me that the state will not be bringing the victims out for my trial, so they're dismissing the charges next week, so I'm gone. I don't gotta worry about this no more.
With that case out of the way, Conte will soon transfer to prison to serve his time, as will his former cellmate, Jonathan Lacey, who will serve 6 years for aggravated sexual battery of a victim under the age of 13. Conte says he believes his former friend is in for the worst.
They're gonna rape him. He gonna be somebody's bitch. Ain't nothing you could do when 300 pounds of muscle walk in your room. Tell you lay on your stomach. Facts, man. What the you gonna do? You could try to fight, but it's over.
But Lacey, who jail officials have moved into segregation for his own protection, says he won't become a victim.
I just gotta be a man, you know what I'm saying? I just gotta stick it out. I'm not afraid if anything does happen, you know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about nothing like that. I never was worried about anything like that when, since I've been in here. Never.
Still, Lacey kept his charges hidden from other inmates until word from the street trickled into the jail and began to spread. Now, self-proclaimed skinhead Christopher Russell, who was recently released from disciplinary segregation, says he's gotten word that somebody else is misrepresenting himself as well.
Supposedly, there's another dude in here that claims to be a skinhead, which is totally counterfeit. You know what I'm saying? And then also, I think there's the 3 black people in there with him as well. That's not going to go down either. They're not going to. There's just too much stuff. It doesn't make sense. And then I heard there's a fresh tattoo that wasn't there to begin with, but now is there. And people like that, man, they're a disgrace. And when people get found being counterfeit, like, you can have serious things happen. You green light dudes like that. And once they're green lighted, our first job is, first, all the tattoos got to come off, one way or another. Either you get them covered up, or we're going to take them. This isn't a game. A lot of people, think that this is a game, and a lot of people think that a lot of gangs, you just join it because it's cool and all that. No, it's not. It's a lifestyle, and it's a way of life, and you got to be dedicated to your way of life. And lying about the way it is isn't being dedicated.
Bryan is safe for now because he is segregated from other inmates. Hours earlier, he was given 8 days in disciplinary segregation for violations that included tattooing a swastika on his hand.
Here to see Matthew Bryan.
And now his mother, Andrea Sutton, has just arrived for a pre-scheduled visit, but has been told it could be in jeopardy.
I found out that he tattooed himself. So we're waiting to see if he gets thrown in the hole later today, which means I won't be able to talk to him and all that stuff. I'm angry.
Andrea says her son's problems stem from drug use. He could receive up to 10 years in prison for his latest convictions of drug possession, credit card fraud, auto theft, and grand larceny.
He's in here because he stole my mother's car and drove it to Florida and left it there. And my mom pressed charges. I mean, I say it's a blessing he's here. At least I know he has a roof over his head, and he has food, and he's alive. And he needs to be clean for a long time. And if that means he has to do a long time, then so be it.
While her son's future is in question, jail officials have a small piece of good news for Andrea. Brian's time in disciplinary segregation will begin later in the day, allowing for the visit.
What's wrong?
So,
you okay?
Yeah, I want to see your hands.
My hands?
Uh-huh.
For what?
Put your hand down.
Why? Well, that's fine.
No.
Really?
Put your hand down. Matt, come on, man. Dude, you're smarter than that.
I know. Sorry.
Can't you just sit on your butt? So what happened? They told me they had your hearing. So what happened?
Yeah, that's fine. They're going to give me 8 days. I'll get out next Sunday. So. Sorry.
It's not worth it. Matthew's never been racially anything. I don't know where that comes from. He has, you know, a mixed brother and sister. He loves his brother and sister. You know, I don't know if it's an act or if it was a way of fitting in somewhere, but he's not a racist. You have nothing to prove to anybody in here. Do you understand? No, really.
I do.
The only people you have to prove something to is me and your kids. That's it. I'm mad as all get out about that. And I know what's under there.
I don't want to talk about it.
You need to grow up.
I am.
No. You need to grow up. You know, I'd smack you if I could reach through this glass, right?
Yeah.
And stop lying to me about stuff.
I'm not lying.
You lie to me all the time.
Mom, I don't lie. For real.
Matthew.
Are you serious right now?
I don't even know what to say. All addicts lie. Matt's always lied to me. So, to be honest, I don't know what is the truth and what isn't. This just cannot happen again. Do you understand me?
Yeah, I know.
Or I will put you on 30 days of no phone calls, no commissary. So you think about me when you do that stupid stuff. You think about what I'm going to go through.
I know. Sorry.
And if you care about me, you wouldn't do that.
I know. Sorry. My bad.
He's trying to prove himself to the other people in here. That's just stupid. He doesn't have anything to prove to anybody but me and his kids, and that's truly how I feel.
All right, well, I love you.
Okay, I love you too.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Upsetting my mom is worse than getting 8 days in the hole. I don't like to see my mom upset. Just because she's there for me no matter what. She supports me no matter what decisions I ever made. Even if I got life, she would still be here every weekend until she died.